What's up, boys and girls? My name is Jeffrey at Jeffrey TV, and Jeffrey Scott Mitchell, Jeffrey Pure Funk, P Funk One, Pure Funk, blah 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 blah, coming to you from a undisclosed location. I wanted to get this down and get it down quick. So I've been on this kick, or the idea that there's nothing greater than a human being becoming the person that they want to be. That means the individual consciousness. Consciousness is the most powerful thing in the universe. Consciousness, conscious awareness, and this consciousness we have, and this idea that we can actually have a concept of self, that we can have a concept of ourself, an idea of consciousness and conscious awareness, and the fact that we can work together through consciousness. We can communicate, we can store data, we can stockpile knowledge and carry it forward and build upon it. That is the most powerful thing in the universe. So each consciousness that we have, even though we have 7 billion of them, I don't say even though, it may be that we have 7 billion of them on this planet and we're taking it for granted. Maybe it's a chance we go out in the universe and this doesn't happen anywhere else. A good example of that, well, my most favorite example of that, I think, is the fact that we can kill ourselves. No other creature that we know of living that can actually make a decision to end its own life. That almost shows you a freedom of above consciousness, a freedom from instinctive control. You can almost equate that to the gaining knowledge of self, the original sin. You can look at it that way. If you want to take out the story of Adam and Eve in a garden and apply it to a mental awareness, like in the song the Sundays say, imagine the day when I first realized that I could do what I want. You know, imagine my eyes when I first saw that I could do what I want. That first dinging of our conscious awareness. That is the most powerful thing in the universe. There's 7 billion of us on this planet. We take it for granted. Oh, everybody's got it. You know, we have people with mental illnesses, broken brain patterns, brain functionings, trauma, and what we may call injured or deficit or broken mental capabilities. Even those are still light years ahead. If I can use the word light years when I'm talking about the universe, light years ahead of non-conscious beings. So it's very precious. It's just the 7 billion of us, we've been around, we grew up in it, we evolved in it, so we probably take it for granted. That is the most powerful thing in the universe. And for one of those entities, one of those consciousness, to actually be able to develop into the idea of itself for itself, is going to be so individualistic. And I think we need that in the scheme of things. We need that diversity of thinking, that vast diversity of thinking to better prepare ourselves for anything that may come in the future. Because, okay, that diversity of thinking of these 7 billion plus consciousnesses is needed for the group knowledge of humanity. Humanity right now is the dominant species. We are basically in control of the planet. We have overrun the planet. We are in a place, not only consciously because of our conscious awareness and our decision making, we are in a place to determine what happens to life in this sun-earth ecosystem. We are the highest, we seem to be the highest dominant species, and we seem to have control of the planet, basically, for the most part. So we may or may not have that responsibility. So going forward, any ideas that we have or any offshoots or mutations or biological anomalies or this or that is going to benefit us in the long run, because we're going to need as much input from different worldviews, different ideas, everything. So all these consciousnesses that develop as far as they can to be in the idea of what they want to be, and if they can accomplish what they want to be, that to me, I think that somehow fits into the whole idea of humanity. Because I was thinking, what could be greater than a human being developing to who they want to be? What could be greater than a human being becoming what they want to be? And I thought, well, the survival of life and the survival of the species. The survival of the species has to be, more important than an individual attaining, what they want to be, or life in general, life period. That's not a guarantee. The survival of life is not a guarantee. Sure, we're pretty much like right now. 7 billion of us, we ain't worried about it. In fact, we may even have too many people. But the survival of that is probably more important. The survival of life and the survival of the human species is, quote unquote, more important than an individual becoming self-actualized, becoming what and who they want to be. Because without the species, that individual wouldn't be there. But the survival of the species, we don't know what the survival of our species is based on. We don't know. We don't know what it takes, what it needs to be, what we should do, where we should go. We have an idea through sciences based on previous experience and experiments that we could duplicate what works and what doesn't work. If A plus B equals C 90,000 times, and 40 different scientists from all across the world have proven this, have shown this in an experiment, we call that a fact or science. And we use that to determine what the best methods of approaching things or diagnosing things or analyzing things or summarizing things. And that's just the scientific method. That doesn't give us any ideas of what should be or what ought to be. They said is does not mean ought, or ought does not mean is, or something like that. And just because it is, that means ought. Ought and is two different determined things. And what happens is the individual, all these different consciousnesses that are trying to develop into what they ultimately want to be, have a different idea of what is, has a different idea of reality. All of us can look at the same thing and have a totally different idea of what's going on or what that really is. And I personally think we'd be pretty much, quote unquote, justified in looking at the same thing and determining our own reality for it. I believe each individual determines his own reality. And again, that goes back to the survival of the species. We need all this different kind of thinking. I believe we need the wide horizon, vast idea of everything. Of everything. This crazy idea, that idea, this, up, down, left, right, no good, bad. We need it all. We need everything. And all these 7 billion consciousnesses on this planet who are trying to evolve and to be naturally, I'm guessing, to be what they desire or think they should be, growing, trying to develop that no matter what it is, since there's no good, bad, right, or wrong, since the survival of the species and survival of life may or may not be the ultimate. Survival of life has to be the ultimate, because without life, none of this matters. But then again, we don't know that. Maybe we were supposed to evolve to a certain point and then die off and allow another species to come in that's going to help the universe get to where it's supposed to be. Whatever it's supposed to be is, we don't know. See, we do not know what the evolution is. For all we know, we could just be a larva. We could just be a stage in the evolution of the species that is going to ultimately, quote unquote, rule the universe or be able to evolve out of this universe. Maybe we're just a pit stop into the evolution of some kind of mental light being, where our consciousnesses are developing to a point that where we'll meld them with machines or whatever we develop, and we'll get rid of our physical body, and this entity or whatever this thing is that we create will survive a black hole and go into another universe and expand once this universe collapses in trillions and billions of years. Because I'm thinking long term, long term, because I also believe that this universe has been scientifically determined to be about 15 billion years old. And if you ask me, there had to be something before that. So I believe in multiple universes, continuous universes. So this universe is 14, 15 billion years old. But if there have been universes before this, after this, and sideways and all along, if there are billions of universes that's been going on for trillions of years, I'm thinking that thing or whatever that was, that process, that thing, that mechanism, or whatever it was that developed into life and being and human beings, could have that process or that mechanism or that could have started trillions of years ago and got passed to this universe somehow. Even though we think that, through our observations and stuff, nothing survives a black hole. Data, no information or data can pass through it. Everything is broken down to minuscule particles, super elementary, basic particles, leptons, quarks, or whatever. So nothing can pass through, but I don't believe that. I believe something has to. I think life is too complex and too complicated to have only started to form in this universe. But then again, I'm human, and I really probably can't understand the idea of billions and millions of years. I can just, mentally get a picture of it, but how long that really is probably hard for me to understand. But life is very complicated. Life is like super complicated. So it may take trillions and trillions of years for that mechanism to develop and to be passed from universe to universe, if our idea of the Big Bang and how this universe works holds true. So that's kind of what I wanted to say. That's kind of what I wanted to get down in digital, get it down, get it out there in the universe. Get it out there in a raw form. Don't worry about having on the right clothes, looking the right way. I'm Gary Punch here for work. Boop, just punched in. Don't have it the right way. Don't worry about if I'm looking right, if the camera's right. Just get it down. Just get it down, even if I'm wearing the same clothes I've been wearing for the last week. Just get it down, throw it on. You got 10 minutes before work, just get it out, and I think I did. And I think I got it pretty much. It's in raw form, but I think I got pretty much some concepts down there that even developed while I was doing the delivery. But how long did I do? 12 minutes. That's pretty good. Anyhow, my name is Jeffery. Swinging on y'all 2 times. For me and for the phone. And for every elementary particle that has ever existed in this or in any universe that ever was, is, or will be. It's about the totality of it all, y'all. The totality of it all. A theory of universe. An hypothesis of all as one. My name is Jeffery.